Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is I, Duckville, here to bring you some StarCraft 2 action today. We've got a Terran versus Zerg. It's two players from the European scene up in the Grandmasters level there, doing a wonderful job, respectively, for each of them. And one of our players up here at the top left-hand side is a Terran player. He's actually doing a 72-hour stream marathon right now as we speak, which is pretty damn impressive. But he was playing some WoW at the time, and I had a quick chat with him about this particular game, and he said, yeah, blah, blah. We sort of had a chat about it, and it was kind of, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but anyway, he's starting up at the top left-hand side. He's currently teamless. He's from Sweden, of course, the land of wonderful internets and amazing StarCraft 2 players. It is Duggi. I hope I'm saying that right. I believe we've had Duggi before up against Pult, I believe it was, a little while ago, and he had an interesting TvZ with Pult. If you haven't seen that, go and check out that VOD because it was a fun little game between those two. It was actually on this this very map, and his opponent down at the bottom right hand side as our blue Zerg player, of course, playing for Team Liquid, doing a really decent job as of late, finishing quite nicely in the Home Story Cup, also in DreamHack Summer. He gained a few WCS points there as well, and I got to cast him, and he was quite fun to cast his games. We're, of course, speaking here of Liquid TLO, one of the very good Zerg players from the EU scene. He's, him and his brethren from Liquid, of course, Snoot, have been the two Zerg players that have been really capturing all the limelight lately when it comes to the Team Liquid crew. Of course, we do have Rhett. Rhett's still around. Don't forget about Rhett. You can't forget about a guy who's happy to go to, like, 90 drones straight away. So, but TLO, he's a wonderful streamer as well. If you're a Zerg player, despite the fact that many people will say TLO does wacky stuff too much, that kind of thing, he's still a very solid player, and I would suggest for anyone who wants to see a really good Zerg player, if you're not going to watch the New Zealand young Zerg player Petraeus from the C scene, of course I do have to sort of advertise some local players here, but if you're not going to watch Petraeus, watch Liquid TLO. He does some really good builds, and most importantly, which, I of course love to point out, is that he has wonderful music in the background. It's often very, he has a lot of sort of orchestral kind of stuff that goes on, and symphonic kind of music that goes on, but he does have some really good stuff that he plays when he's streaming, and does have a little chat from time to time about what he's doing, which is also really good too. So do go and check out his stream, and I have, of course, linked Duggi's stream here too, so you can go and check out what he gets up to there. And he's a former Warcraft player, I believe. No, sorry, just World of Warcraft. That's right. And yeah, he's currently teamless at the moment. I am actually really surprised that when I see some of these players, I have seen some replays from our Terran player here quite a few times, and it's very surprising to me that he's teamless. Whether there are some various reasons why some players aren't in teams, like they don't have time to commit to playing a large amount to as part of a team or something like that, or just various other things. But still, I would love to see Duggi get some really good, attention in the scene. It'd be really good. Anyway, let's talk about this game. We've got TLO is going to head down to his third base very quickly upon... hasn't actually scouted out exactly what's going on, but he is going to take the third base here. This is something which a lot of players do. It's considered a little bit of a risk to pick up this third base here, but TLO, along with a couple of other Zerg players, have started adapting a style where you pick up gas number 1, just number 1 here, at around about the 430 mark, and then what that means is that you can get your gas up in time to get your metabolic boost, which helps in defending the third base, and it also gives you options to go for a Roach Warren for any possible earlier defense against Hellions and those kinds of things, which can come out and be really annoying, or it can also give you Banelings, of course, which are one of the more sort of traditional ways to defend against early Terran attacks. But in the advent of Hellbats, which have been a major pain in the behind for many Zerg players, it started to become a little bit more common to grab some Roaches right at the start and either posture that you may be going in for an attack or something like that. Like, you can sort of have a look at the front and see if there's anything there to pick at, or you can use them to defend against the Hellbats. So we'll see what direction TLO is going to go in. He's going to pick up 2 of his Evo chambers here, maybe looking towards that +1/1 melee and carapace straight up. Meanwhile, for Duggi, he's coming across and he's going to have a quick look at the front door. There's not too much going on here. He won't be able to tell exactly what is going on, but he can see the 2 Evo chambers if he pops up. But he's not going to have a risk of going up there just in case there's a lot of lings, because a lot of players do like to grab a large proportion of lings at around about the 7-minute mark. So Duggi's going to wait a second. He's just going to wait and see what's going on. Actually, we see TLO being being a little bit annoying there, just throwing out the creep tumors, then pulling them back when he cancels them. But he is going to have a nice amount of creep spread here. This gives TLO the option to actually move his spine crawlers. Some players like to move them just down here to protect the natural and the third, but it looks like the Hellions going to come in from Duggi, grabs 1, 2, maybe 3 drones. TLO being very careful, really good splits with his lings there to keep those Hellions back, but it looks as if Duggi is going to get a little bit cornered here, and TLO, is he going to get the full surround? It looks like he gets number 2 of those Hellions. 3 and 4 are also going to get picked off, and that'll be enough of that harassment for the moment from the Terran player. So we'll see how TLO is going to move from here. We've got the lair on the way. We also have gas number 3. The Baneling Nest also being picked up now as well. Meanwhile, back at home, our Terran player, we mentioned it before, those pesky Hellbats have now come out. He's got 4 up in the air, traversing across the map. Across to the side, we see a few extra racks now going up too, and he does have Stim being researched, a Medevac and a Viking being produced from this reactor starport here as well. This is something which I have seen some players do, not everyone, but some players like to use, instead of using the racks just to straight up start Stim as soon as you get that tech lab done, they'll build a reactor and then actually throw the starport onto the reactor. It gives you double the medevac production, also gives you a free Viking to, well, sort of a free Viking to throw out there and clear out some overlords. But as we can see, Duggi going to come across 4 of the Hellbats dropping out, 2 of them running across to take out the drones. We'll keep an eye on those across to the right hand side. The 2 on the left do get taken down by the lings, and that is a pretty decent job by TLO to defend all of that. We haven't actually seen too many workers killed, only 3. That's damn impressive considering there were 4 Hellbats that came along, but Duggi not done yet as the lings and the banelings coming across to try and defend. It looks like the Hellbats do survive, or at least one of them does. There is another medevac drop coming now through the bottom side of the map. There isn't, what is this SCV doing? I don't know what this guy is doing, but he's trying to help out as well. Looks like he's just going to make his way across, maybe checking out that base, and Duggi drops inside the main, gets a huge amount of those drones there. Well, maybe not huge, but gets a decent amount of them. We're up to 9 kills in total. The second medevac that was already up at the top side of the map is now just going to proceed back into the third base, or sorry, that's the Viking there. But it looks as if Duggi has done a decent amount of damage here. He's forced out a lot of lings. Of course, TLO generally would have wanted to have some units out on the map at this point anyway, but the point is that he hasn't been pressuring his opponent, so Duggi's been free to get his economy up into a really good position. We're sitting at 51 SCVs. He's now got his 3rd and 4th gases down here at the natural. We can see there is a huge contingent of Hellbats out on the map at the moment, so he's going to have a lot to work with here. And it looks as if this is actually something very, very similar to a push that was used back in beta, which somehow I'm not really exactly sure why. I think it was because Hellbats were changed to need the armory, but this is a particular push that sort of fell out of favor for quite a while. Now we do have Stim is already researched, of course. We can already see that Stim is done, but we do have combat shields and concussive shells on the way. This is going to be a really, really big push coming across from Duggi. This is really, really tough to deal with, but TLO will have some mutas out. We'll see if he's going to have enough to defend against the push, which is coming across very soon. Duggi, trying to get some more harassment done, is going to run into a bit of trouble with all of those mutalisks there to defend the medevacs, but they will escape for now. And it looks as if TLO, despite taking some losses down here, we can see he did lose a couple more drones down here in the main. But apart from that, he hasn't really had too much damage put on him. But now he knows there is a big push coming across. Stim getting activated on those Marines. Their combat shields are about to be added on, so they'll have a little bit more health here, as we can see. And this push is absolutely deadly as hell. In beta, like I mentioned, it was used in beta quite a bit. This normally came at around about the 9-minute mark, and it obviously had a lot less of what we can see here, but it was still just as strong. One of the key components of this push is, of course, splitting up your units, and Duggi does a wonderful job of utilizing that. Needs to try and keep some of those Marines at the back. You do not want to lose all the Marines, because these Mules will shred up the rest of the forces on the ground, but it looks like Duggi has done a wonderful job, caught TLO off guard completely here, and we can see that these units are just way too strong. Another difference between this and the beta version is that you would have +1 on the weapons, so there is a slight difference, but this is a much more customized version to hit after some Hellbat harassment. And wow, the Hellbats at the front, speaking of which, just annihilating those Banes, and TLO just does not have enough. With all the units now streaming across for Duggi, he's going to come through and clean everything up here. I think the Spire is dead at a minimum. These Hellbats are going to try and clean up some of those Banes, and they do take out quite a few of the Banes, but get killed themselves. And now the Marines are free to go to work on everything that is here. And TLO, I'm not really sure what he can do from now. While the Baneling speed is just about to complete, there it is. We can see some Banes just trying to roll past, maybe catch out some of the units at the back, but the Mutas are doing the same sort of thing. But the main damage is being done here inside the natural, and TLO gives a GG. So really, as I said, a little bit of an older school style there from Duggi with this 2-base play. We didn't see a third command center. Normally, that's what you would see if you were a normal sort of like if you were doing a normal style from a Terran. But unfortunately, TLO, I'm not sure if it was a little bit busy or something, but completely missed the scouting that was going on here, and thus he was not prepared. It's very hard to defend against this push with just Mutiling Bane, because you've got the Marauders to tank, you've got the Hellbats to tank and do outrageous amounts of damage, and then once those Marines are all free to do their DPS, they rip apart everything as well. So hope you enjoyed that match between these two players. Of course, give them both some love on their streams and on the Twitters, respectively. And, of course, for myself, please do jump on to facebook.com/duckville.casting, where I will be talking about all sorts of StarCraft and Dota 2 things as well, listing events that are coming up, listing events that I will be invested in, and that is about it. So catch you guys later. Very standard and won't throw out crazy stuff too often. So we will see the 11-minute timing. The Mothership Core going to have a quick look and see what she can find in there, but a couple of Marines will poke about and try and defend against that. So we can see that the stim is now on